So good morning, good morning, good morning. It is May 11th, 2015, and we're starting our Responsible Travel Hangout a little bit early. And Greg Vogt is there in beautiful Durban, South Africa. Good morning, good afternoon there.
Morning, afternoon, Ron.
All right, so what's the news there? Can't wait to hear.
Well, interesting. The Indaba show is always it always presents some interesting debate, and the traditional debate is always, are there more buyers? But what a conversation I'm not hearing is, how do we leverage the other opportunities that are there? Because obviously through the social networks and hangouts like we're having now, there is the opportunity or the platform for an international conversation and a global conversation. And one can reach markets in different ways. Now, over the past 4 weeks, we've been talking about niche markets. We've spoken about a variety of niche markets and being market ready. Now, one of the things that I think responsible tourism, one of the foundations of responsible tourism, is the concept of being market ready, because we know there's all these wonderful things. People around the world want to reach delicate little gems in forgotten areas or areas that people don't know about. But the concept of being market ready is, how ready are these people to receive the international market? And I had one of the most amazing meetings, probably a 3-hour meeting today, from people from the States who have provided around about 400 square meters of space to South African artisanal craft. Now, one of the challenges that they've got is to provide, first of all, to be able to present craft that is market ready for the States. That's number one. Number two, craft that varies from the traditional African feel to create variety. And then number three is the ability to present or to produce the volumes that you need. So for me, it was really interesting. The concept and the discussion around market ready included mountain biking. Are the South African trails market ready for the international market in the States? Product, artisanal craft, in other words, community crafters, are they able to produce product, first of all, from a quality perspective, and second of all, from a volume perspective for your markets? And so I think my theme for today's Hangout is, how do we get places to be market ready?
All right, well, just paint a broader picture in terms of time. How have things changed in this marketplace in terms of offer and demand in the past 10 or 20 years? I mean, where are we now in 2015, and where are we going in 2020?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I'm kind of interested in putting this in terms of a temporal context. Like, where has the demand and supply been for these artisanal experiences, and in terms of supply and demand 10 years ago or 10 years in the future? Where are we right now?
Well, I think in the past 10 years, the demand has been very much on the craft. In other words, the traveler coming out into the area, buying something and taking it overseas, and saying, wow, this comes from Africa. Now what's happening is the technology is allowing us, or people from the States are coming over, and they are saying, we can help this person who's creating this craft and put it onto our shelves. And with that comes increased demand. And I believe we're in a space where we've got to meet this demand, and that requires the organizations and the people like myself to go into the market and to introduce the concept of being market ready. If you're not market ready, you're not going to be able to up the game. You're not going to be able to reach the volumes, and you're not going to be able to tweak your product. Not everyone wants the African curio, maybe people want are variations of that African curio. The conversion point is getting the product, the artisan, and saying to the artisan, let me introduce you to this person from the States, and let me introduce you to, let that person from the States introduce you to the variation of your product, so that not only people who want African craft can have it, but other people can have this magic that you create.
I hear you. Beautiful. You know, when I lived in Oaxaca, Mexico, one of the things that was very commonplace there were the number of visitors that came to the city expressly so that they could visit the nearby villages in the Central Valleys. Why? Because they had this wooden craft, an alabrije, or they had a ceramic pot, or they had a weaving, a beautiful textile. They would look for the artisan. Now, there were these two groups, right? People who would look for artisan A, you know, by name, by street. This is the Pueblo San Miguel Tilcajete. There was also group number 2, which was kind of just generally interested. I just want to see the village. I can't believe this family makes textiles. Now, what experiences are you seeing in South Africa and in the Western Cape where people get to meet the artisans and really promote them by name?
Well, there's 2 points to what you presented. The first one, and again, this case study, and I'm so sorry I haven't got the name of the people, because I believe they should be, you know, the work that they've done. These people from the States have actually identified people in South Africa up near the Kruger Park, and they've said, we can sell what you're creating in the States. What you're creating extends beyond the African curio nuance or genre, and it can actually, people, if we tweak it and if we share with you our design experience, we can tweak your product to be able to appeal to the broader market, which will effectively enable you to increase your productivity and sell and your profitability. Now, I don't know if that's speaking to your question, but this is an extension of the typical curio, and it's an extension of the objectives to create jobs. Now, if the dollar is helping a person graduate from just producing 30 pieces of product a day for tourists to becoming an industry, using their skills and their craft, I think that's responsible tourism, and that's the vision.
I hear you, and you know, my question, yeah, it wasn't answered exactly, but you know, take your time. I mean, I'm really looking at like a directory of a who's who of artisans that one can visit, and a
platform, a catalog.
And I love the idea of export. I mean, that's a great idea, and whoever is doing that, terrific. You know, here's a bag. Just had it dry cleaned. This is the mammoth, the mamut in Spanish, that my buddy Luis Lazo Mendoza wove in Oaxaca. And you know, again, people seek out these artisans, and some are superstars, and some are just. But the majority are.
Sorry, Ron, I'm going to interrupt you quickly.
Go ahead.
Can you see these little animals in front of you?
I see them.
Put them on the big screen. They recently rehabilitated guinea fowl.
Where are we?
We're in a place called Hillcrest, which is near Durban, and these little babies were purchased from a I don't know what you'd call it, a pet shop place, and reared, and now they're released. And they don't want to go into the wild. They want to stay here in this beautiful place where we are. But they're on our doorstep at the moment, and they're enjoying their second day of freedom.
Is that part of your big 50,000?
No, it's just someone's hobby, and I'm sitting here drinking a local beer called a Hansa over there.
Now I'm jealous.
after 3 hard days at Indaba. Okay, sorry for the interruption. That was an advert break.
That's fine. You gotta love it. All right.
And you said I've got to do show and tell. So here's some wine product. This is called, that South Africa is big on their wine, and that's called Robertson. That's a wine in the Western Cape. Good value for money, and pretty much similar to your Californian area.
Beautiful.
Okay, so you always wanted me to do show and tell.
Well, you won the you won the competition today.
So before the end, but I'll try and take you back to those little critters. But carry on. I interrupted you rudely.
Not at all. Not at all. We're about to be joined by Andy Hammerman
I see that.
lovely
Hi,
Ecuador.
Andy.
Hello.
How are you?
Hey, Andy, just if you've been watching or not watching, just to bring everybody up to speed, we've just been chatting with Greg, and Greg is winding down the day at the Indaba Tourism Conference in beautiful Durban, South Africa, and interrupted our tour and interrupted our philosophical chat with a great view of birds being rehabilitated. So.
Yeah, so back to the product. So Ron, you've got me pretty fresh out of Indaba, and the discussions I've been having with these American folk, and I'd really like to. I'm really impressed with these people, because if it were not for them, they are the people ultimately stimulating the work on the ground for these product, and they're the ones who are saying, we want to help you. You know, how do we get the mechanisms to work to ensure that this crafter can get their product across to us? So I'd like to invite them next week to the chat.
Oh, of course. You know, I'll say this, and I want to get Andy a chance to say good morning. But when I was in South Africa, I did the internet workshop for the Cape Town Design Institute, or something of that matter. And I'm still waiting to hear from these artisans. We'd love to see these, pictures.
Now, that institute you're talking about, it's CCDI, and you might have met a guy by the name of Craig. Now, that is called a special purpose vehicle. And the objective of a special purpose vehicle, it's a organization developed to fast track these type of opportunities. And when the government designs a special purpose vehicle, it doesn't get traction until they meet. It's a top-down, bottom-up conversation. Now, this is the 4th week we've been talking about top-down, bottom-up. The legislative intentions cannot get traction unless you get the bottom-up meeting that intention, because that's what activates and leverages the financial opportunities. Because the CCDI not only provides the training, but it provides the guidance, and it provides the opportunity to the silos, the financial silos available for these people to get their product exported to the States.
Beautiful. Well, thank you.
I'm going to be really rude and ask if I can be excused.
Please.
And I'm very excited for next week's talk, because I'm going to provide all my stuff, and I'm going to give you the last opportunity to see these little babies that have been released.
Oh, thank you so much.
But they shouldn't be in the house at the moment, Ron. They should be in the wild.
Beautiful.
Can you see them?
Yeah.
What kind of birds are these again?
Guinea fowl. It's like a partridge. It's a part of the partridge family.
It looks just like the partridges that we have here in Ecuador.
So many.
Yeah, but you're guys, it's been wonderful. Thanks so much, Ron, for taking me. I'm going to love and leave you. And cheers.
Cheers. Chat later.
Cheers, Andy. Bye-bye.
Ah, very good.
How do I say goodbye?
So this is our very slow-paced Monday hangout, Andy.
Okay. I hardly made it here.
Anyway, you just switch off my phone.
Let's see. Oh, poor Greg's trying to get out and can't. We're just going to see if we can eject him. Yes. All right. Anything new and exciting?
Well, I just changed the tire on the truck. I'm doing work. I've done a bunch of things. I'm trying to get ready to go to the States. I go to the States on Saturday evening.
Beautiful. How's the road construction?
I hate it. Absolutely.
I have.
Okay, the road construction, that's something I can talk about. I went down yesterday to talk with my neighbor who's an Italian. He's an Italian mission, part of the Mato Grosso group, Don Bosco's. They've been in the area for 35 years. And I just wanted to drive down and see how the road construction is going, sort of as it nears his home, his property. And yeah, he also hates it, but he says that he won't make a stand against it unless the people want to make a stand. If people want to make a stand, he says, absolutely, I'll give him support, but he doesn't want to be the crazy gringo that's talking against the road. And I said, well, I kind of feel the same way, and both of us, the irony of it, are talking against the creation of what they call a ciclovia. Ciclovia is a bike lane. So how is it that an ecotourism operator, an eco lodge would be against a bike lane? And it's just very strange. They're building a bike lane where there hasn't been a demand for a bike lane. There hasn't been people riding on bicycles, whether you look at the local population or at tourists. Maybe we get one cyclist a month that would come through this area, maybe, and those would be real cyclists as opposed to, like somebody who just rented a bike. Now, there's nowhere to rent bikes, so why are they building a bike lane?
I just see lots of opportunity there then. I mean, honestly, this past week, and I'll just say this quickly, but I attended the Nevada Biking and Pedestrian Summit. And it was an interesting event hosted by Nevada Department of Transportation, and it was really talking about cycling. And quite a few of the speakers are must-meet people, Willie Weir and Russ and Laura from The Path Less Pedaled. And they gave some really good presentations. And then when they said to the folks in the room, how many of you are working in transportation, all the hands shoot up. How many of you working are in tourism? And about 90% of the hands go down. I mean, they don't see that they're working in tourism. But what they said that strikes me most importantly for the purpose of this conversation is they said, and this floored me, they said the hottest trend is gravel. Have you heard about cycling and the hot trend of riding on gravel roads?
Have I heard of it? No. But that's all we have here is gravel roads. Now they're paving like crazy.
I was going to say, wow, that could be the big advantage. They were really selling this. The roads that are paved, great. They're paved and they're wonderful, but the cyclists are demanding more and more riding on paved road, on gravel. Not unpaved roads and gravel. And there's good gravel and bad gravel, and I'm completely new to this. I have never heard of this being a big trend.
All right. Well, I'm going to go, I agree. I think that there's a lot of ways to promote biking in this area. And by being against what I call, or what they call the ciclovia, the bike lane, on a new paved road that goes from here to Sigchos for 22 kilometers, is that you could develop really good tourism and biking in the area. Instead, what the way they're doing this is they're taking their standard road, which is 11 meters wide, 10.5 to 11 meters wide, which is very wide, much wider than really is needed in such a rural community. And then they make it 2 meters wider to add the bike lane. So, of course, bicycling is environmentally friendly, low impact. I believe in pedaling; it's a great thing. Yet, the environmental destruction in order to create this extra 2 meters for a bike lane is tearing down huge amounts of earth and land on the side of the mountain, because I live in a very mountainous area. So to create an extra 2 meters, you have to dig an extra 4 meters of hillsides and sand and dirt and gravel, everything, and move it. So it's just ridiculous. Like, it'd be great to develop good biking in the area. I agree. Giving 1,000 bicycles to the students in the area so that there actually are people on bikes would be way cheaper than $2 million for a bike lane. The other thing is that tourist cyclists, what you said about gravel roads, is that tourists don't want to ride right next to what has become a superhighway. It won't be a superhighway in terms of traffic because we're still so rural, but the beauty of a road is gravel road, a smaller road, a road that isn't shared necessarily with cars and traffic.
Beautiful.
But there's nothing I can do about it. It's the steamroller.
It's a nice thing. It's a nice thing about being back in the U.S. I can take positions now.
You can take positions and form your protests or
create my whatevers, instead of kind of going, I don't want to step on anybody's toes living in another country.
I don't think it's about stepping on other toes. I'm not afraid. I just know that they're not going to listen to a one lone voice. And I think I agree with my neighbor Jeff, the Italian, who says if the people want to say something about this because they realize how wide the road is and how much earth is being moved and how it's really changing the landscape, that he would definitely support the movement to be heard, meaning the people have to speak up and he would be there. And I guess that would be similar to what Gregory was talking about, top down, bottom up. Well, we got to wait for the bottom up before we start talking to the top, which the top he's got his head in the clouds.
Well, again, how do they connect? All of this, grassroots activism, all right, but then what? We were talking a little bit about the design of these sustainable tourism projects and the being market ready. And, the fact is, how many market ready products and services have we seen, but oops, they forgot to promote it? And how many disused cabañas or tourist U's are there in Oaxaca? Again, because there wasn't that next step of marketing the darn things. There's market ready, just depends on what you consider your market. I'll be happy to go on a road bike and do a bike tour if I'm not next to a steel tank going at 100 miles an hour. But these are things that are really possible now. Cycling tourism, I think, is going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I like the idea of cycling tourism, and I don't know. I guess I just have the hard time watching the road go through when it moves so much earth and it's so destructive and the environmental impact is so huge and they're cutting down trees and tearing down houses in order to bulldoze through a road where it'd be nice to have a safe, transitable, passable road without having landslides, but this is overkill, and the country doesn't have the money to spend on it. They're getting further and further in debt in order to do this.
I hear you. Are you paying attention at all to the conversations I'm having with Deborah McLaren on Fridays called "Local Responsible Local Travel in the USA"?
No, but I know Deborah's name for years and years and years.
Yeah, years and years. We met while doing our books back in the late 90s, or mid 90s that got published late 90s. That's when you could take 3 years and develop something. Yeah, we're doing this conversation. We've never actually had a conversation kind of that was U.S. centric, and we've had a couple conversations. We had Ethan Gulber in there, and then Kath McKay, who works with Tourists Against Plastic, this great project of making sure that all the people on her outbound trips from Portland are aware ahead of time of not using the dreaded plastic bottle and contributing to plastic trash. And oh, it was a good conversation. We've never had this conversation before.
No, sounds great. Have you heard of TAP, the Travelers Against Plastic?
That's who spoke last Friday.
That's who spoke. Yep. Okay.
And was she a person I want to hear from again?
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. We've been sort of a participant in their campaign because at the Black Sheep Inn we don't sell water. We give water away. It's purified on site. People can refill their bottles. So that this as a location supports that mission because there's no reason to have the plastic bottle at all. Yeah, I've always followed sort of the different cities or municipalities that have been outlawing plastic bags and plastic bottles because it's definitely a step in the right direction. There's no reason that we have to be, swallowing the trash that's handed to us every day, meaning like, you buy something and you have all this stuff that you don't know what to do with.
No, it's kind of cool. It's one of these things where like old school is becoming new school or future school. Those recycled bags from Mexico that people take to the market and use year in, year out. That's crept into the U.S. market with reusable bags. Just about 5-10 years ago. But there are ways to use less resources.
They're doing it down here in Ecuador from the big supermarkets now, but most people just take the plastic bag and walk with it. So, the old school of Mexico that you're talking about, people here prefer their disposable stuff. And, it's ridiculous in the countryside, especially in the rural areas, that people are buying the most minute little thing and they ask the store owner for a bag. And the store owner will sell them a bag for 5 cents because the store owner wants to make a profit. It doesn't have to do with any recycling scheme.
Beautiful. Well, we need to hear more about these dreaded plastic bags.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I always feel a little bit hypocritical, but not. It says, did you remember your plastic bags? And no, I always pick them up at the grocery store. There's nothing better of disposing some of the things we need to dispose of here. And dog poo, it's great. Why should I steal bags from the park when I can reuse my grocery bag?
Yeah, there's lots of little details.
Exactly. Well, no one else is showing up here.
Okay. I got a bunch of stuff to do, but I thought I would try and check in to see what was going on here. Sorry that I missed Gregory's little piece, because that's the interesting part, is meeting different people from all over.
Well, we'll try it again next Monday. We're going to do our USA Hangout on Friday, a little bit later in the day. But yeah, I'll give you the invite next week, and we'll hopefully pull this together. Stay online, and let me just terminate this broadcast. Thank you, Andy.
Okay.